Okay, welcome to Inside SSP, episode 2. I'm Chris.
I'm Natalie.
I'm Allie.
Oh my god, we just nailed that. This is gonna be the best podcast.
We're getting better every episode.
One thing, I think we should kind of tell the people our state of being at the moment. You know, usually before class we ask people how they're doing.
You asked.
Are we going around and doing one
I do like to ask that. Yeah, I do. And so I just want to see, scale of 1 to 10, Natalie, how you doing?
I feel bad saying this because I know where you guys are at, but I'm at like an 8.5, 9 today.
Well, you seem like that.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
seem great. Allie?
No. 3.
Three?
I'm in a lot of pain.
I thought I was going to be the worst.
I'm always the worst.
I'm at like a 5.
Oh, okay.
It's been a pretty rough day. Pretty rough day.
Well, then maybe 3 doesn't make any sense. I'm in a lot of pain, and pain makes you upset. So.
Pain does make you upset.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, that gives the listeners an idea of where we're coming from.
Look, we're not all perfect.
It's a great day.
Except me, apparently, because I'm at a 9.
We all have ups and downs. Just being real with people.
That's true.
Being real. Okay, so we're going to talk about stuff. I think with the new year, right, I think talking about, I had this idea actually a couple months ago, shortly after the first podcast, about expectations that people bring to us when they first come in the gym or if they've been in the gym a while. And those expectations versus reality and how long some things take or how they should be thinking about things. So I guess I'll stop there and let you guys add anything to that, or if you have specific examples from people recently. I have one in the back of my mind that I can share, but I'll let you guys share first.
Well, I just think it's interesting because, I mean, like you said, with January and the new year, it's a time for people to set goals and take on new challenges and try to change habits and things like that in whatever direction that means for them. And when we do set goals, and when we talk about like SMART goals, and a good way for setting goals is having like a time interval, right?
You mean SMART goals isn't like, specific?
Measurable,
Oh, look at
realistic,
you.
and timely.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in
Yeah.
school. I got this. And so setting goals with a time frame is generally speaking a good idea. And so having an expectation for what that time goal is going to be like and setting one that's realistic and attainable, the other 2 letters of SMART goals, and also knowing like what parts of your personal situation or your history, your nutritional history, your exercise history, your strength training history are going to affect that. Because even if Allie and I set the exact same goal for various reasons, she may achieve it before I do, I may achieve it before she does. And so touching on like what some of those things are going to look like, I think would be helpful for our gym goers.
Yeah, I think we do a very careful job about the things that we message in terms of, obviously we know that our members see results if they're consistent, right, in following and coming to the gym, and whether it be nutrition or exercise and fitness. But you'll never see us put something out there that's like, 6-pack abs in 30 days, it's just not our style. I think the only thing that we actually put a time frame on is our 2 for 2 program, which we know works, right, based upon results that we've gotten in the past from the nutrition program. That's really the only thing that we'll say, like, hey, we feel pretty confident that in 30 days you can get this result. But I think it's interesting, what the example that I had in my mind was, I had a member recently come up to me and say, and I think we get this a lot around this exercise, is they want to do a pull-up, or they want to do a chin-up, right? It's like one of the top things everyone always wants to be able to accomplish. And I think it's tough sometimes for them to hear that it takes a very long time.
Like
A year.
like years.
Yeah.
Like years.
A year plus.
Depending on who you
Yeah,
are.
it is a tough exercise to do. Your first body weight one is amazing, but it just takes forever depending on where you're at, right? So I feel like that's a great example of just trying to get people to understand realistic expectations around building strength, and unfortunately I feel like in general society, the industry as a whole doesn't do a great job of this. A lot of the messaging out there is about quick results, and that's just not the way. It's not the way that it works. I know it doesn't work that way in nutrition either. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Allie, but I think nutrition is another place where you probably see comments from people around, why am I not seeing results? It's been 15 days, and I think explaining that to people is probably pretty challenging, right?
Yeah, I guess our 2-for-2 program, for those that don't know, is replacing 2% body fat with 2 pounds of muscle. So essentially you would gain 2 pounds of muscle, lose body fat, following specific macro guidelines though that we give you. I don't know, I'm just having to be so precise about that for 4 weeks. I think when we did run 2-for-2, I think we found a couple people kind of hit it really hard for 2 weeks and then it's like, meh, I don't really feel like I'm gonna keep trying these macro goals. I did find that. And then, we didn't quite achieve the 2-for-2 ratio, but those that really did stick with it got results.
Yeah.
Well, I heard you talking the other day to somebody, not that I eavesdrop on all of your nutrition calls, but sometimes we're just
right there.
So I hear things. But you were talking about why it's called lifelong nutrition, like what the name lifelong nutrition means. And I think it'd be cool if you shared kind of what you told that person.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we are very big on habits for life. So it is not a quick fix. It's not a 6-pack ab. It's not, I want to drop 15 pounds. Okay, maybe, I don't know, societally you'll hear dropping, I don't know, anywhere from like 1 to 2 pounds a week could be quote unquote healthy. I'm never going to say that, but you'll hear that, right? With us, we might not be dropping body fat, dropping weight super quickly because we're sustaining muscle mass. So your weight might not change. I've seen people do 2-for-2 in nutrition and their weight does not dramatically change, but oh my gosh, their body fat goes down, their body composition completely changes, muscle goes up. That wasn't the question you asked. But then lifelong nutrition, so having these habits that you build over time instead of just this quick, I want to lose 15 pounds in 2 months. No, we're going to build all of these habits first. I don't know, so that can help you.
I think it's cool because, like, we don't say, oh, it's going to take a long time to be discouraging, right? And I think it can sometimes feel discouraging when everybody's been promised by, like, mainstream fitness media, like, oh, lose 20 pounds of body fat in 2 weeks with this Shred X, whatever, 1999.
15 minutes a day. Yeah.
And so we don't say it out of a place of wanting to, like, beat you down or make you feel discouraged, but just to try to help learn to be patient with yourself and, like, not beat yourself up if it's been 2 weeks and your body looks the same or you're still lifting the same weights. Like, this stuff does take time. And so then also going about setting, like, shorter term goals, like being able to get excited about going down a band on your chin up, like when you go from the blue band to the green band, like that's a huge deal and a huge step closer to your chin up goal. Or if you have a week where you, like, got all of your vegetables for the week or, like, hit all your protein goal or whatever, and, like, learning how to celebrate those successes, because then when you do get to your end result, you're gonna be like, oh my god, that only took like, that was it always feels quicker when you do it. I don't know if you guys have that experience, but, like, for me, my thing is, like, lifting and, like, getting stronger and tracking my, like, 3 main lifts. And as much as in the moment and week to week I can be like, god fucking hell, this sucks. Like, this still feels heavy, I feel like I'm not making any progress. I go through my camera roll on my phone and I look at videos of me lifting a year ago, or even 2 years ago, and it's insane how much better my form is, how much more weight I'm lifting more efficiently, doing all these things. And, like, in the grand scheme, 2 years is not really that long. And if you told me at the beginning, hey, it's gonna be 2 years and you're gonna be excited about deadlifting this amount, it may have been frustrating, but it really goes by quicker than you think when you can focus on the, like, small incremental steps on the way and, like, celebrate those as you go.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's been interesting with the new year, just seeing, you see a lot of things out there, and it's a tough thing as a coach, because obviously, like, I have a philosophy for how I go about exercise and strength training, right? You guys have that philosophy as well. And, I'll see people I follow on social media or friends of mine who will kind of dip in and out of these kind of fitness trends, and they don't necessarily subscribe to anything kind of consistently. And I have a hard time, because the things that they do, let's say it's like a beach body workout or something, right? Not necessarily.
Not to name names, but
not necessarily my thing. I would never do that or recommend somebody do that, but I never want to knock something. Kind of like my general philosophy is like, if it gets you to move and you're excited about it and you can wake up every day and do that, I think that's great. You just keep doing that. I think where the problem comes in with people is if they do that for a while, inevitably what happens is they go, oh, I don't feel like I'm getting stronger and making any progress. And that's where you kind of have to have the conversation around, look, it's a science. Like, you have to build and program in a way that builds adaptation in your body. And if you're just going to do the same workout over and over again with the same loads at the same volumes, we don't build anything. Your body just won't do it, And so it's just interesting to see the things that are out there. Because I always talk about this kind of idea in fitness that I see, which is the commoditization of fitness. How people feel like they can go on YouTube or go anywhere and get the same quality and level of training that they could in a gym with a trainer, right? Which unfortunately is not true. It's a fallacy, right? And I don't think it really exists in a lot of other industries. It's like, I always give the example of somebody messed up their shoulder. They're like, well, you're not going to YouTube a messed up shoulder, a physical therapist on YouTube and say like, oh, I can fix this on my own. It's like, no, you're going to go see a physical therapist who's going to take a look at your shoulder and work on your shoulder, right? Same thing, if you want to get stronger, is the best thing to go on YouTube and YouTube, oh, I'm going to do these strength workouts and videos. Okay, it might work for a little while, but really, like, if you're serious about getting stronger, you need to get help to get stronger, whether that be from somebody online programming for you or somebody in a gym helping you and coaching you, right? So that's just that's my soapbox for the day in terms of my New Year's, kind of, and I see it every year, and I always find it tough, especially when it's people that are close to me and they talk to me about, well, should I be doing this? You think this is good? And it's like, it's a very hard line to walk, It's like, well, I wouldn't necessarily go that route. I think I will always promote things that promote and incentivize and get people excited to move.
Right.
I think that's number one priority, right? But at the end of the day, if your goal is to get stronger, you have to do something a little bit different than that. So,
I think one of the other things that happens that's interesting and relates to the nutrition thing is like, I agree with everything you said, and like most people's journeys, if they've been doing this for a while, have phases. And the
100%.
first phase is just moving and doing the YouTube workouts, and we could have a whole nother episode on Beachbody.
I did Beachbody.
I was a Beachbody coach, yeah.
I'm not saying anything's wrong with Beachbody.
Oh, I am.
I'm
Anyway,
afraid it's bad.
And then they get to that point of frustration where they're like, nothing's
Yes.
changing or whatever, nothing's
Yes.
happening, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. And then either A, they find people, they reach out for help, which is great, and
Sure.
what we want, and we can totally like work with that. Or B, they keep adding movement and keep removing food. And keep adding more and taking away, and adding more and taking away until the point where, and then they go through that for a while, and then they come to us running, 15, 20 miles a week, doing spin class, doing HIIT workouts, eating 1,200 calories,
Yeah.
and they're like, I feel like crap, and I'm not getting anywhere, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And then, and honestly, I like have so much compassion for the people in that situation, because they feel like they're doing everything right, and they're doing everything that they think that they're supposed to do. And it does involve a little bit of like unlearning and undoing, depending on how much time they've been in that situation. But the reality is that like more isn't always the way to your result. Sometimes the way to your result is actually less.
Yeah.
When it comes to movement and replacing quantity for quality also, which is I
Right.
think something we do really well at our gym. But
yeah, I feel like a lot of people to that point feel like if they can do more movement, they'll get better results, right?
Right.
Which unfortunately is just not the case all of the time, right? So yeah, it's an interesting, I feel like the fitness industry overall, I don't want to blame this on consumers or people because I think there's just not enough good information out there about this, and I think it takes a while to learn, once you start on your own journey, you start to learn what works and what doesn't work, how your body works, how much recovery you need, all of those things are part of like the learning process. And I think there's general guidelines out there, but really like it comes down to what does your body need, what do you need to feel good about what you're doing every day? And that just takes some trial and error.
Yeah.
I think the nutrition side is like really tough sometimes for people because, the first thing they do, whatever their goal is, right? Let's say they want to get 6-pack abs, or they want to lose 10 pounds, right? It's like they will go to movement first. Movement is the first thing they do, right? And I think great. Everybody should move just generally. It's a great part of daily life, right? But really, probably to reach the goals that you want to, it needs to be a combined effort between movement and nutrition. And most people don't understand the nutrition part at all, which is why Allie does such a great job in what she's doing, right, with our LM program. But I think that part for people to grasp is like very foreign. You see some really weird stuff,
Yeah, I mean, piggyback, you guys already said it, but I don't know, probably 3 or 4, actually most of our LM clients, I think, were chronic undereaters, right? Because, I'll speak for myself. I grew up in the 90s where less was always more, non-fat, all that. And I know a lot of people that I've been working with, at least, in their 40s and 50s, grew up with exactly that. I know it's not really the point, but like, are just so ingrained, low fat, low carb, low food. That's what they have learned, and they're so scared to go up in calories. But yes, they want to do spin class 6 times a week. They want to do SSP twice a week. It's, do you ever get a rest day? Oh, I don't need a rest day. And so and then it's like, okay, everybody is different. Maybe you're not exhausted, but like, where is your breaking point and what do you need for recovery? And lifelong nutrition, right? So let's say I have a client that's wanting to lose 10 pounds and it's not working. Chronic undereater, again, spin class 5-6 times a week, SSP a couple times a week. Hey, how long have you wanted to lose those 10 pounds? Oh, probably 10 years. Right. And is what you're doing working? No. So they're adding more spin classes, and it's like, okay, so we have to switch things up. We have to either take down movement, really focus on nutrition, maybe both, probably. But those people, will eventually see results slowly if you mix things up. Just like.
Great example.
Yeah.
So I think that's right. It's like, and I know you've told me about a few people who you can explain BMR in a second. I'll let you explain it. But let's say somebody's BMR, right, is 1,400 calories a day, and they sit there and they eat 1,500, and they've been eating 1,500 for 5 years. And they're like, I can't lose any weight. Well, there's a problem there because your body's become so accustomed to the fuel that you're giving it that's become very efficient at what you're giving it, right? And just adding activity onto eating lower calories is not going to get you the results that you want, right? And I think you can attest to this probably. I know you've expressed how you've had a really hard time trying to convince people to eat more, right? And I can totally understand that, especially if you're trying to go into a fat loss phase.
Yeah.
But at that point, you have to reset your metabolism in order to enter a fat loss phase. Otherwise, you're just going to stay at the same place, right?
And you could essentially go up in calories or down in calories, and I'm so reluctant to cut people's calories because most people are under eating, so we really have to up it. I think I'll do those in-body reads with people, and they'll see BMR, and handful of times people have looked at that BMR, basal metabolic rate, maybe it's 1,500, and they go, oh cool, I can eat 1,500. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, you get to eat 1,500 plus hundreds more, please. Yeah, and there's a calculation you can do anywhere from 1.5 to 1.9, kind of depending on your activity level, which is what we do in LN, but yeah. And then Natalie knows, but I'll always tell people. So like Chris, if you got on the scale with me, your BMR is 2,000. I'd say, Chris, 2,000 is how many calories you need to sustain just Chris, just living, sitting on the couch, doing nothing, watching TV. What are you doing during the day? You're running around, you're doing all these other things, you're doing workouts, so you need a lot more.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I'll tell, like, my BMR is 2250, right? But I'm 6'4" and I'm a big guy. So, like, I need to eat a lot just to live, right? And so I probably eat, I don't track my calories really, but I probably eat somewhere between 3 and 3.5 a day in terms of calories. Just because I need it. I'm moving around all the time. I'm exercising, I'm training people, you know, like, my activity levels are very high. So if you could read your BMR is like 2,000 and you sit there and you eat 2,100 calories, you're, you know, for a while, depending on where you were coming from, let's say you're eating 2,700 and you went down to 2,100, sure, you're probably going to lose some weight. I don't know how much of that is going to be muscle versus fat. Like, that's going to be a whole other question. But you lose some weight for a while. But after a while, your body's going to adapt to become really efficient at what you're giving it. And so unless you're going to do something different, you're not going to lose any more weight or any more fat. You know, just unfortunately the science of nutrition. Right?
I don't know if I want to bring like eating disorders into this, but really fast, it's like even with you see in anorexics or undereaters, where you'll lose weight for a period of time, and then you get down here barely eating anything, but your body is just holding on because it's undereating. It's not eating far close to the calories that it needs just to sustain. So your body's just going to hold on to everything that. Yeah. You know.
Totally.
So it doesn't want to lose any more weight, and then muscle does with it.
I think the other great thing that you learned for 2 for 2 was people were not eating nearly enough protein every day, right?
Oh yeah.
And I saw that in just the couple of reads that I did with people after that program. Like, some of the reactions were like, "Oh, my muscle mass actually increased where the last read it hadn't. I guess it is the protein." It's like, yeah, you have to eat protein. Like, protein is super important, you know. But I think a lot of people just don't realize that. You know, it's not part of their. It's interesting because they just don't. They naturally, people are not intaking enough protein relative to the amount of activity that they're doing or strength training that they're doing.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that's like people overcomplicate this in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I think since this is called Inside SSP, this is a very much coach's perspective, right? Because we have people come in and they say, I have this goal, and I can look at you and say, I think this is what you should do instead. And so we toe this line of like wanting to give them good information, lead them down a path that we think is going to make them the happiest, the strongest, feel the best, be the most like fulfilled, and at the same time honor their autonomy as like, okay, you're a human that can make smart decisions, and like you want to do this. If I could set a goal for everybody in the whole world, it would be to put on muscle. To just focus on your exercise. If you're gonna have some sort of physique goal or something like that, would be just put more muscle on your body. It helps with so many things. It helps with like your hormones, and it increases your BMR, which we were talking about earlier, makes you stronger, makes you less likely to be injured, you know, all of these like really important things for life. And that just comes down to like strength training and protein.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as much as like we have, and as coaches in the fitness world, we tend to argue about these like minutiae of like, well, should you be eating animal protein or plant protein? When should you eat your protein? Should you eat it before? Should you eat it after? Do you have a 30-minute anabolic window? Like, what are all of these things? And everybody listening to the podcast was like, I've heard those words before, but I don't know what they mean. But like, the reality is, for 90% of the population, more strength training, more cardiovascular training, more protein. And I think if we can like nail those basics, the results you want, no matter what those are, if they're getting stronger, if they're losing body fat, if they're putting on muscle, if they're, you know, even having better endurance, like you have to have protein and you have to do the movement to sort of refill those stores. I don't know, I have kind of like a eating disorder background like Allie, so sometimes I get a little touchy talking about nutrition, which is why I've been a little, I don't know, maybe quieter in this conversation. Reserved. I know it's not something that I usually am, but just because I feel like it's really hard to give broad sweeping advice for nutrition, and like everything has the nuance of what your background is. Like, have you been dieting for the last 10 years, or have you been sedentary for the last 10 years, or do you have like intolerances to food? Do you have food allergies? All of those things. Kind of what's your relationship with food and dieting? Is downloading MyFitnessPal to track your protein gonna absolutely send you into a spiral of being obsessed with numbers? Because that's not healthy
And
either.
I asked everybody that, and I did have one client at one point where she was like, I didn't have eating disorders, but I feel like that's gonna trigger me, and I was like, done, I'll track it for you, happy to do that.
Let's not do it.
You know, because I'm so mindful of that, because that's one less stress that you need.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why we do such intensive assessments on movement and on nutrition and everything else for our people, is because it's so hard to tell you, like, I hate to be like, it depends, because I know that's the most frustrating thing, but like, how long is your result going to take? It depends. It depends what your result is. It depends what your history is. It depends how old you are. It depends like on all of these things.
It also depends on what you want as a result.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
Is in your mind that
Yeah.
you keep getting here.
Yeah. I think one of the things for like a gold silver lining is we tend to a gold silver lining. That didn't even make any sense.
Bronze silver lining?
So, just for a silver lining, to add some positivity to this conversation.
Got it.
Because I feel like it's been a lot of like, the fitness industry sucks, and I'm like,
Has it been?
things are hard. Because they are. But like, for example, and I'm even gonna name him because I think he would love that we talked about this. But Don Wood told me one time in a session that he came in with like the goal of just like maybe losing a little weight, like getting stronger, like
knee pain.
Yeah. And he said to me, he was like, Natalie, I thought I was too old to put on weight or to put on muscle. He said, I thought I was too old to put on muscle, and I am not.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I don't think he's doing LN. Like, he just comes and lifts and has like been really excited about getting stronger, and he's really been able to put on some muscle, and he's 65.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And so it's like, it's never over, right? You can get results no matter what your background is.
I think that's actually a great point, because I think for both fitness and nutrition for us, our overarching goal for people is just to develop a healthy relationship with both. Right? That's what we're looking for.
It's a lifelong, it's not a quick fix.
Exactly. Yeah. We're, and I think that's the key. We just want you to have a healthy relationship with both. You will get stronger. You will see results if you put in consistency and effort and work, right? At the end of the day, we want you to feel good about the things you're doing every day as part of your daily life, right?
And it will also, totally lost my train of thought. Oh, you go.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I always say to people, like, your fitness and your nutrition should serve you, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So like, it should give you life. It should not be taking your life away. It should allow you to do more things, to be in better relationships, to have more confidence, have more success, whatever that looks like, versus it sucking life out of you. Like, it should not feel like a huge energy. I mean, sometimes working out is hard, right? But it shouldn't feel like you're giving a lot of emotional energy into working out and eating. And if it does feel that way, we might need to adjust our plan.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think I was going to say that it comes and goes in waves too. You might be like super on a lifting game, like right now, right? You're training for a powerlifting competition, so you are so diligent, right? You're like, I don't want to work out today, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah, this is your phase in your life. Maybe next year you're just more casual about it, but like you still have a different.
You still have a relationship.
A relationship, yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and last year I was in a program with a coach, and my workouts took 45 minutes, and my goal was just to do 3 a week, and that's what I did because my stress level was really high. And then I decided that this was what I wanted to do now. I actually was talking to somebody yesterday, and I made a post this morning about values-based decision making, and how I really think that can be powerful, because you can make different decisions under the same value and for the same reason. So it doesn't keep you, right now, my goal is this powerlifting meet, right? And that fits under my value of being strong and challenging myself. Those are things that are deep values for myself is like being strong mentally, physically, emotionally, and also challenging myself. But last year my challenge was school, and so that was my big challenge for myself, and took a step back on the lifting, and so different decisions being made under the same values. I think it's a good way to get away from the like black and white thinking, like I have to work out 6 days a week, or fuck it, I missed Monday, I'm not going to do anything the rest of the week.
What should we talk about?
I think we got cut off, but I was talking about my values of being strong mentally, physically, and emotionally, and then also bringing on challenges. And last year, my challenge was starting a master's degree and taking on school, and this year it's something else. And so it allows you to get away from the black and white thinking of, I have to train 6 days a week, oh, I missed Monday, fuck the whole thing, we'll start again.
Yeah.
And helps you kind of find that middle ground for yourself.
Agreed.
Or having people come back from the holidays. I don't know if you guys have heard this too, but the last couple weeks, I'm like, oh my gosh, I took 2 weeks off in December, I feel so weak, or kind of like putting themselves down maybe for not working out over the holidays. And I'm trying to tell everybody to have themselves grace, and kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning, but like, how long did it take you to put on that muscle? Not a week.
Yeah.
You've been here months, you've been here 7 months, you've been here a year, whatever. It took you that long. So your 2 weeks in December will not derail you, I promise you. And so it makes me want people to have a better mindset about like, I took 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna hit it hard again.
Yeah, that's part of the healthy relationship.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. I don't think tangentially, I think I called out Ben Bruno in the last podcast too, but.
Well, we will always
Obviously,
call out Ben Bruno.
Chris loves Ben Bruno. I'm surprised at that.
But he had a great post, like right around New Year's, which was talking about the fitness industry, right, coaches and stuff. He said all the coaches want to get on Instagram and argue around, like complex periodization schemes and all of this stuff. And okay, it's a science. We talked about the science earlier. There is a science behind how it works. But at the end of the day, when you go into a gym, most people are walking around the free weights area not knowing how to use dumbbells and kettlebells and free weights. And he's like, I think we're fighting the wrong battle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Because
completely agree.
fitness at the end of the day doesn't need to be super
Fancy.
complex, right? And most people don't know how to use these things. That's the problem, And it goes back to our core value number 1, right? Strength training is for everybody.
Strength training is for everybody.
So.
It doesn't look the same for everybody. The pace might not be the same.
Right.
Correct.
Somebody I know the other day, not to just continue to quote other people, but said pace is more important, or direction is more important than pace. And so I think through the holidays especially, like, and the new year and everything else, we tend to like sprint out of the new year and then lose it.
Yeah.
Or the holidays, our pace slows down, and so we feel like we're completely failing at everything.
Yeah.
But you're still moving in the same direction, and as long as you're still taking steps every day, every week, every month, you're going in a direction.
Yeah.
And focusing on that and less about like, I will have lost 20 pounds by February 15th, can be a really powerful shift.
Yeah. No, I agree. I also think people just have to be kind to themselves. I mean, people go through busy periods of life, right? Like, I was actually having that, I'm a 5 today, right?
Right.
And I think, I was actually thinking this thought today around myself because I have a lot of different plates spinning at the moment, whether it be being a father, husband, running the business, coaching, I started school too. And so like, there's all these things like circling around. And I was thinking to myself how I feel like I'm underperforming in every one of them. Because I'm having to kind of like spin plates, which really pisses me off, like personally when I feel that way. But at the same time, I just have to be kind of like kinder to myself. It's like, look, there's a lot going on, and at the end of the day, I'm doing the best I possibly can with everything that I have on my plate, right? I think the same thing is like when people go through the holidays and they have gathering after gathering and like all of these things going on, it's like, the last thing you want to do is then guilt trip yourself into feeling like you're not doing enough fitness-wise, nutrition-wise. It's like you are getting a lot of benefits out of that in terms of family time and, enjoying the holiday season. And I think you just got to focus on those things. So.
Do you know the glass ball, rubber ball metaphor?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Someone's also been to therapy.
No, I heard it from your Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I actually got this from my dad.
Yes.
And it definitely helps me. But the idea is that you think of everything that you have to do: your school, your being a dad, you're being a husband, you're running a gym. All these things are balls, and some of them are made of glass, and some of them are made of rubber. And it can change day to day which one is glass and which one is rubber. And realizing that if you drop a rubber ball, it will keep bouncing, and it will keep bouncing, and it will bounce, and it will still be bouncing tomorrow or next week when you go to pick it up. But the glass balls, if you drop that, that'll break.
Yeah, sure.
And so it helps me like visualize and prioritize, like, what are my glass balls today?
Yeah.
Like, what are the things this week that if I drop, like, I will really be letting down somebody close to me, or I'll be really letting down myself, or I'm gonna miss a deadline for school, and sometimes school can be a rubber ball. Sometimes you can miss a deadline here and there, and it's fine. And then just not worrying about the rubber balls, set them to the side, let them bounce, come back and get those later.
I like that. That's great. Yeah, that's really good.
You're welcome. Hope that helps.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, this is a different framework, but kind of related. And I don't know, people might react weirdly to me bringing like Amazon thinking in this conversation. But there's like this decision-making framework in Amazon that they use, which they call two-way doors versus one-way doors, right? And so if you're making a decision, you think about, if you walk through that door, can you come back from it? Or is it a one-way door, right? And that kind of guides your decision-making about how seriously you have to put thought behind a decision that you're making. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
It's like something that you can come back to versus something that you can't, right? Yeah.
Right. We've covered a lot today.
We have. I feel like I've been like overtly negative. It's probably my 5 out of 10.
That's okay. Sometimes you just have to be real about it.
You're like, fuck yes you have, but it's okay. It's cool. It's cool.
I had a 3 and didn't say anything. So I forgot what I was going to say.
I love everybody. I love the world. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for people to hear, and I don't think it was overly negative as much as it's just like real, and it's like how it is.
That's why I asked everybody how they were doing.
And everybody knows we love them. And like we made all of these things from a place of like loving them and caring about them and wanting to help. So
true.
And them bringing their goals to us, and we want to help them achieve it.
Yeah. And help them be nicer to themselves.
Yeah.
While we're all trying to also be nicer to
ourselves.
ourselves.
It's all just works in progress. Everything's a work in
Because
progress.
they hold grace for us when we say,
That's true.
I'm not a 10 today. They're like,
That's
okay.
true. Yeah.
We'll take it easy.
So when they come in and say, I took 2 weeks off. Okay.
We'll pick back up.
Let's go.
Well, thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Gracias.
We'll be back soon.
Oh yeah.
Wrap.